Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
So we are recording, dear friends.
Okay. So Salai might be careful what you say.
I'm going to put on my headphones just in case. I have a tendency to cut in and out.
We have a person here, 586.
That's
Oliver. He runs two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two devices. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. But
Good morning,
only
everyone. Hey, Patrick.
Good morning,
Hey, Ben.
Oliver.
Hey, Oliver. Hey,
Hello,
Damon.
How everyone?
All right.
Hello, Paul. Good to see everyone.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, June.
Dr. J is in the house.
Hi, Dr. J.
Now, don't get us in trouble, Oliver. We don't get to call her that.
Okay.
She
Okay,
clarified.
all right.
Only you get to call her that.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, we got Dr. D in the room, too, Dr. Damon. So,
Yeah.
Damon's a doctor, too.
All right, then.
Only when I'm sworn in court.
Okay. Well, are we good enough to start now, you think? I know we have some that are going to be coming in later, and we are recording. I should mention that for those who just came in. So if we do have folks that are coming in due to other obligations coming in later, we'll have it available that they can, have access to that as well. Okay. So why don't we, if you don't mind, let us start this off with some devotions. Can we do that?
Do you want the song to start now?
Let me start off with, let me recite something first. And then we can go to whatever you would like to share and whatever the other dear friends would like to share. All praise, O my God, be to thee, who art the source of all glory and majesty, of greatness and honor, of sovereignty and dominion, of loftiness and grace, of awe and power. Whomsoever thou wouldest, thou causest to draw nigh into the most great ocean, and on whomsoever thou desirest, thou conferrest the honor of recognizing thy most ancient name. Of all who are in heaven and on earth, none can withstand the operation of thy sovereign will. From all eternity thou didst rule the entire creation, and thou wilt continue forevermore to exercise thy dominion over all created things. There is none other God but thee, the Almighty, the most exalted, the all-powerful, the all-wise. Illumine, O Lord, the faces of thy servants, that they may behold thee, and cleanse their hearts, that they may turn unto the court of thy heavenly favors, and recognize him who is the manifestation of thyself, and the dayspring of thine essence. Verily, thou art the Lord of all worlds. There is no God but thee, the unconstrained, the all-subdued. Baha'u'llah.
Oh my God, unite the hearts of thy servants, and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, oh God, in their endeavors, and grant them strength to serve thee, oh God. Leave them not to themselves, but guide their steps by the light of thy knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily thou art their helper and their Lord. Oh my God, unite the hearts of thy servants, and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, oh God, in their endeavors, and grant them strength to serve thee, oh God. Leave them not to themselves, but guide their steps by the light of thy knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily thou art their helper and their Lord. Verily thou art their helper and their Lord. Baha'u'llah.
Okay, I think we're ready, unless I don't want to step on anyone's toes if anyone else was going to offer devotion at this time. Are we all set?
May I share just a brief quote from Baha'u'llah's teachings on spirituality? I think it feels appropriate for this time that we're in. The foundation stone of a life lived in the way of God is the pursuit of moral excellence and the acquisition of a character endowed with qualities that are well-pleasing in His sight. People have grown weary and impatient of rhetoric and discourse, of preaching and sermonizing. In this day, the one thing that can deliver the world from its travail and attract the hearts of its peoples is deeds, not words. Example, not precept. Saintly virtues, not statements and charters issued by governments and nations on socio-political affairs. In all matters, great or small, word must be the complement of deed, and deed the companion of word. Each must supplement, support, and reinforce the other.
Light and glory, greeting and praise be upon the hands of His cause, to whom the light of fortitude has shone forth, and the truth has been established, that the authority to choose rests with God, the powerful, the mighty, the unconstrained, to whom the ocean bounty have surged, and the fragrance of the gracious favor of God, the Lord of mankind, has been diffused. We beseech Him, exalted is He, to shield them through the power of His oath, to protect them through the potency of His dominion, and to aid them through His indomitable strength, which prevails over all created things. Sovereignty is God's, the creator of the heavens and the Lord of the kingdom of name. His Holiness Baha'u'llah.
Thank you, friends. We greatly appreciate you checking in with us. We wanted to make sure that as we were developing in regards to this project that we're working on, that walking together towards a race unity and oneness, that we're allowing for space for questions and comments that surely will come up as this unfolds. I'm excited and impressed and encouraged by just the responses that we've been getting. I know I was sharing with Ruth before everyone else came on that, you know, initially, you know, we really didn't do an aggressive effort in regards to distributing the information or promoting the information. We wanted to be somewhat conservative because we were going on this nascent path of how would this look, right? This is not the traditional way that we've done in the past in providing this information. But in light of the challenging times that we're living in, we wanted to somewhat be creative and to introduce greater flexibility for the friends, the facilitators, and those who are participating to be able to have a window of opportunity to get involved and be able to engage with this subject matter. And I know traditionally we usually lock it into a specific weekend where we try to achieve those 12 hours of study and reflection. And now we're looking at a wider window, a more expanded time frame that allows friends to come on during that period of time. So again, as I mentioned, it is somewhat of a unique program that we're rolling out. It fits more, I think, or it leans more towards what a format of a study circle might accommodate as compared to, you know, the original format that we had issued. Information being the same though, right? And so hopefully, I believe that you all have you all received your packets in the mail, or if not, I think they're en route. Ruth gives us a thumbs up. And Oliver's good. Dan's giving me an affirmative nod of the head. Okay, excellent. So if you haven't and you're on this, I would imagine that should be coming. I know we sent out another packet on Saturday with an expectation that that's going to be delivered, according to the post office, by Tuesday at the latest. This was for friends in Indiana and some in Michigan. Yeah.
Cam, excuse me, Laura and I convened Friday afternoon, day before yesterday, and she had also received her materials in the mail.
Excellent. And that's all the way down in Tennessee. That's encouraging. And within that information and the packets that you've been receiving, the one thing that we wanted to focus on, let me see if I can bring it up. If not, maybe you can bring it up, Liz. I'll try to share. Was basically the, you know, check-ins and next steps and things of that nature. So let's see. This might be it. And share. So for those who've received their packets, have you had an opportunity to take a look at this basic information? And if so, we wanted to try to walk through this and to answer any questions that you might have concerning this. So,
Cam, I have one question. This is just going out to the people who have been assigned participants at this point. Is that right?
primarily, yes. I don't think there's any deviation from that. Am I mistaken on that, Liz? This is only going out to those that we've identified participants for, right? You may be muted.
We sent out to pretty much all the facilitators, there was one or two, we ran out of materials, so we had to go back to the printer. So that'll go out in the morning. But you'll get a packet even if you haven't been assigned participants yet.
Thank you.
And for those who have been assigned participants, as it indicates in here, we encourage you, because those participants have not been contacted as of yet. Your outreach, your contact will be the first contact of confirmation that they'll have concerning what that schedule is going to look like. And that's going to open the door for that conversation as to how you're looking to schedule that those 12 hours. So keep in mind that, again, you're going to be the first contact. So we encourage you to do that as soon as possible. And as you do that, to let us know, because the participants, packets have gone out only to facilitators. Participants have not received packets. So the confirmation and information that we get from you is going to be what we work off of in order to start that second process of sending them out to the different participants. Our total count right now, and I'm going to jump around, so hopefully not too much. Is it 34 or 32 at this time, Liz? I know you said there was we received some today, actually, or we saw.
Yeah, you can add another 5 to that, so almost 40 registrations so far.
Yeah. So again, I go back to this is primarily coming from what we've shared with the council and David Douglas and what he sent out through their mailings. We have 40 participants that have already expressed an interest. So that's encouraging. And I think, well, the question is that I know that we initially said that registration, the deadline that we had posted was the 16th. And I think we want to be flexible on that in the sense that possibly that could be stretched. That's something I wanted to share with the total group as well. Because if there are more participants and if we are able to identify additional facilitators, then why not be able to accommodate those friends who may have not gotten in before the 16th. Again, that if the 16th is a hard and fast date, well, then that's what we'll decide. I have to be dependent, I think, on the facilitators. We could push that registration deadline back, but if we don't have access and availability to facilitators, then that's going to be a difficult thing to meet and could build in more frustration. So let's see here. As I'm talking, please feel free to raise questions or comments.
I have a question.
Is that okay?
So in this material, does it indicate who one notifies? Like when you reach out to the participants, is it like after you've decided, okay, this is going to be our start date and this is the group that has committed to that out of this list of participants, and then you reach back to a particular person and let them know?
Well,
And
when you say
so who is that?
On the initial contact, that'll be identified from the facilitator team. So, and like, let me use Damon and Laura as an example. Damon, you said you guys have already reached out to participants?
No, we did kind of divvied up the list day before yesterday, and that's one of my on my to-do list probably tonight, because we have specific questions. Like, do you want to do it 4 times once a week or 4 days intense, and those kind of questions.
Right.
And we haven't done reached out to get answers to those preferences.
So you and Laura are having that conversation first, is that correct?
Yes, that's our
And
plan.
And then from the conversations that you have with your facilitator, your co-facilitator, then
Yeah.
how will we reach out to the
Yeah.
participants?
Yeah, and then we Laura and I have scheduled another check-in meeting to kind of consolidate our results about, you know, who prefers what kind of thing. So we're not ready to roll yet, but we're getting there.
Right. So if I look on what we're sharing on screen in the checklist, next steps, reach out to your co-facilitators, basically what we're hearing from Damon, and begin discussions and next steps.
Yeah. So yeah, we connected, like I said, Friday. In fact, at one point, Laura just picked up the phone, called Liz, and said, "Hey, what about this and how about that?" It was very helpful.
Right. And of course, Laura, I think you did as well, Damon, notified me that, you know, they have received their materials.
Yeah, we'll check. Oh, that's a good reminder. I'll check and make sure that they've done that or that's happened. I've got like a little matrix built up, and that'll be one of the questions. Did you get your materials yet?
Well,
Okay.
the
Or facilitate.
participants have not gotten materials yet. We're waiting for you
Sure, but
as facilitators to get yours.
I want to make sure that they receive this basic information. That should have been. Sorry, I've got a cat here that's trying to
We know
organize
that cat.
me here.
We know that
Whatever.
cat, Damon.
Huh?
We know that cat.
Oh yeah, he's cleaning my desk because what he's doing.
So,
He's scared of himself.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. What now?
No, I think we're based on where you are, I think we're somewhat indirectly, answering the question that Deborah had raised. So, in addition to what we've shared, Deborah, did I miss anything else? I mean,
So I understand that the co-facilitators would first communicate and try to figure out their plan of action. And then they would divvy up the people and reach out, and then they would come back together, and the facilitators would regroup and I guess conclude what the study plan will be. And then what I'm still not clear about is who exactly do we then reach back to and say, our participant group is ready to receive their materials?
you would reach back to myself, or I think we probably need to expand that to myself or Liz, so
Okay.
that that information is coming in and being responded to in a timely manner. I know sometimes my schedule and phone and email kind of get backed up a little bit, and I don't want that to be the cause of a delay for you guys moving forward, because once we get that information, I'm sorry, Liz, you had your hands up.
Yeah, I was going to say they could use the WhatsApp group to say, you know, we received our materials, or, you know, our group's ready to receive their materials now. You know, you can just do it that way. That way we'll
Okay.
both be informed.
Okay, great. Thank
Use the
you.
WhatsApp.
Yeah, that WhatsApp group is good, but however, I don't think we've got everyone on that. I don't think we have Patrick on the WhatsApp, right?
Patrick, are you on? We try to get you on, and Deborah, we try to get you on, and it
I'm
said, oh, okay.
Thank you.
Patrick, are you on WhatsApp?
No.
Okay. We
And that-
tried to add you, and it said you weren't a member yet of WhatsApp, so.
So we don't want to put any additional work on you. I mean, obviously that's another window, another opportunity, but otherwise it can just be an email back to me or a text or something to that degree to let me know, you know. Yeah. And Patrick, I'm sorry, go ahead, Liz.
Go ahead, please.
No, I was just going to confirm with Patrick. I'm not sure if he's had contact yet with Ted.
No, I just looked. I don't have his phone number. I don't have his phone number to call him.
Okay.
So that's the first step. I need to get his contact information, his email information.
It's in your packet when you get your packet.
Okay, yeah.
Right there under.
Yeah, I didn't
right
know
under co-facilitators is.
Yeah, I see that. I see the bullet, but I didn't know if there would be actual names and numbers there. So, and my question is, so when after I contact him, we don't, and say we have a family that's 5 people, we co-facilitate those 5 people together. Is that correct? Is that assumption?
You're correct.
All right.
And who knows? Go ahead, Liz.
Please continue. I just wanted to mention something about the packets. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
I was just going to merely mention that, you know, Ted might get in contact with Patrick before Patrick gets in contact with Ted. So.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
I wanted to mention that the facilitators get 2 things in their envelope, not only the booklet that everyone will get, including the participants, which has both part 1 and 2 in it. But just the facilitators get this packet of materials. So the participants will not get this, you know, the checklist and study guides and things like that. That's just for you in your prep as tools.
Yeah, yeah. And some of those inserts are things that came out of the original facilitator training that we had. For example, tidbits and insights on working with certain situations, speaks a little bit about confirming your broadband capacity for, you know, Zooming. What else is there in there? Are there going to be any, what did we decide, Liz, on the youth coloring pages? Are we going to be inserting coloring pages for those groups that may have children?
We didn't do that yet because we've only seen 2 possible junior youth joining. So the facilitators will have to confirm if they are or not. And then we can put it in their packets when we mail it to them.
All right. Okay.
I might just add something as just a heads up for people who are waiting for their materials. Back when we did the training institute in the spring, I didn't actually receive my materials until after that period had ended. And, you know, I believe that was in relation to just a delay in the mail system, because even something had been sent priority and it was supposed to be received in 3 days, and I didn't receive it until the day after that whole period had ended. So just a heads up that there may be some delays in people receiving their materials, and just know that might be an issue.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Deborah. Appreciate that.
One of the things we talked about is even though the sessions are scheduled to begin September 20, the schedule belongs to you as facilitators. You would treat it like a study circle. We're going to meet 1 Wednesday a month. We're going to meet every Wednesday a month. We're going to meet 2 hours. We're going to meet 3 hours. We're going to meet 4 hours. Whatever your group, the 2 facilitators and its participants agree upon, is when you start, and the pace that you have to conclude the 12 hours. So there need not be pressure to start exactly on September 20, but do let us know if the packets haven't arrived to the participants. We can send them their electronic copy that might work for them until their booklet arrives.
So yeah, that was my question, the electronic copy. So you do have that electronic copy of the booklet, just in case somebody don't receive it, then we just have to share our screen. Okay, so that question was answered. And the other question is this, we just set up our own Zoom, right, link?
Yes.
Okay. And then my third question is this, I'm looking at, you know, my list of participants. Some say part 2, some got question marks, some say both, and some say either. So that's our call, right? We could do 1 and 2, and or either we could do both, or is it flexible enough where you could do maybe some sessions from 1 and some sessions from 2? Mix it that way. Am I making sense?
I hear the
Some case studies.
question. I hear the question. I know it was our understanding that, you know, the facilitators would, in speaking with the participants, if it's a question mark, that hopefully there would be consensus, meaning that they themselves have not decided, and possibly looking for some guidance from the facilitator as to, okay, you know, the consensus is that 2 is the favorable option on the table. But you're saying, Oliver, that in the information we sent with you, you have commitments or expressed interest for both 1 and 2?
Yeah, one person, both. One person just 2. No, 2 people just 2, and then one person say either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
So I mean,
found.
we're gonna have to talk to them. We got to talk to them and figure out how can we, you know, come to some decision.
Yeah, from the comments in the survey results, you know, when they registered, they put a narrative comment in that said, I'm really, like some said, I'm really not sure what the difference between 1 and 2 is. So as facilitators, when you reach out to them, you can give them kind of a description. And then, you know, if they've not taken any, maybe part 1 is where everybody starts. We do have one group that Ted and Patrick are taking that said they already took part 2 and they're specifically only interested in taking part 1. So it's been very clear for their group. But for many of the other groups, they're really not sure because they haven't seen the materials. So they rely on your knowledge as facilitators to help explain, you know, what everything is and where they might want to begin. And I just thought it was very interesting that they were so flexible, not only in the timing and the schedule, but the content, you know, which part they begin with. So that's where the question mark means they literally didn't answer that question.
I have a question regarding that, which kind of ping pongs off of, I'm so sorry, I don't know the person who was just talking because I see a phone number, but
that was Oliver.
Oliver, hi Oliver.
Hi there, Jessica.
Hi. Yeah, so you bring up a good question, Oliver. I think from what I'm kind of hearing you saying is that if people are interested, if some people in our group are interested in part 1 and some are interested in part 2, and then we decided to start with part 1, but others just want to do part 2, should we let Cam and Liz know that so that we can redistribute the groups so that people feel like they want to start where they want to start?
Yeah. And I think that is an option that we've talked about that we have to consider. If we have an established group that's doing 1, for example, and Oliver, the consensus in your group, other than that one person, is to do 2, then we would need to know, and then we can investigate to see if there is an established group that's been put together that's doing 1 that makes sense, it's coherent in thinking, to be able to shift them to the other group, or conceivably we may have to put them in the holding tank, in a manner of speaking, as we put together additional facilitators that will be coming online to do 1. That's my thinking along that question.
So it sounds like right now that the people that we've been assigned to, we're just kind of we're all kind of distributing the work a little bit to see what needs are required right now and what people are needing, and then we can report back to you. So these groups aren't necessarily you know, set in stone, because they might need to be redistributed based on people's needs. Okay, thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we need to be flexible in that sense, that you know, we can't be too rigid with it. And that's the whole concept behind it, to be flexible as we build what works for, you know, for the groups.
I have another question. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. The first one is this is to Oliver and the people that I took the training with in Indiana. Is this the same material without modifications, or?
My understanding, yes, but I need to look at the material compared to 2. because I don't think they made any adjustments. They just combined. Looks like they just combined 1 and 2 together.
Okay, good.
You know, the
All right.
yeah.
All right.
So yeah. So
Okay,
yeah, it's
good.
the same material.
Okay,
So
good.
you still got copies of it. You still got copies of that material, right?
Oh yeah. I'm reviewing the material. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with it. I just wanted to make sure that there weren't any modifications that I was missing. The other thing is that if somebody texts me Ted's phone number.
Yeah, we can make that happen, Patrick.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. And now my question, Cam, is that since there's 2 of us facilitators, is it possible that one facilitator can do track 1 and another facilitator do track 2, and classes be going on, you know, simultaneously or close to simultaneously?
That's a great question, Oliver.
Yeah, it is.
My first response, and this is just my response, Liz, obviously you can have some input on that. In June, you obviously may want to share. You know, the focus is to make sure, and that's been one of the questions that was raised, that we wanted to make sure we were not losing any quality in regards to introducing greater flexibility. So, you know, if between the 2 co-facilitators, the facilitators, that, you know, that is based on the dynamics of their group, if that is something that seems to be doable, you know, without there being any loss of quality of, you know, execution of the program, I don't see why not. That's my opinion just from hearing the question.
All right.
Liz?
I defer to June or the agency, the committee. I think the facilitators having flexibility. You know, Oliver, you've facilitated this, what, 15 times? I don't know. You know, so many times that you know, your skill set and mixing and matching, you know, is probably greater than most of us. So I see June nodding. So, you know, the goal is to make it effective. Do the friends really understand how to raise their levels of sensitivity and comfort in addressing issues of race that come up, rather than sweep it under the rug or pretend it didn't happen, or, you know, allow estrangement to happen? These tools help the friends understand we can elevate the conversations and get through it together, not ignore it. So whatever tools are in your tool chest.
May I make a comment? I feel like it's helpful to have a co-facilitator, only because naturally with 2 people or more, there is a natural diversity. And so because it's the nature of the content, I think it is helpful to have a co-facilitator if possible, if we have the resources, just so that we can have diverse opinions and diverse experiences that we can share. But at the same time, you know, we also want to make sure that we can get this information out, because it is such a critical time. So if it's better to use resources, you know, to split up people more. So that was just my thought.
Thank you, Jessica.
Well, just to follow up on that, if past experience carries forward, it's there are bound to be certain things, certain topics that Laura is much more eligible to address than I am, and vice versa. And it makes for a I guess you could say a more powerful process if Laura and I can work out those handoffs. It works better. At least that's been my experience with the dialogue racism work I did back when with Sharon Davis.
Okay. Well, I think just from that exchange, it really depends on what we're hearing. Is it really depends on the teams, on the facilitators. You know, obviously, if it's not something that fits in your wheel well, you know, that you're not required to do that. And, you know, again, I'm assuming that's coming up, Oliver, from the standpoint that you've got a situation right now that the question is, do we do one or do we do two? You know, and of course, part of that answer is, well, if you can't do both, if a group runs into a situation where obviously that's not an option, then we defer back to let us find another group that's working on whichever topic that they're interested in, you know.
Yeah. And plus, it also depends upon will the co-facilitator go for it or not.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, my first thought was that my great grandmother used to say, "I'd rather see a sermon than hear one." And the more that, you know what I mean, and the more diversity we show, the better off it'll be. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't have to have all the answers. All I have to do is show up. You know, so it's
yeah.
I think that diversity is the whole message. I mean, that's part of the message that we trying to get out there. So I think help is always good as far as I'm concerned.
I have a couple comments. One is you can sort of treat it again like a study circle, how we have 10-1, 10-2, 10-3, right? 10.1, 10.
Right.
So you take 10-1 and then the group says, oh, we're so enthusiastic, let's roll the 10-2 together. So you could do it that way, of course. So we have those experiences, you know. But the other thing I wanted to mention, if I could, is the demographics of the facilitators and those who have registered. We have pretty good diversity between male and female, black and white, in terms of facilitators. In terms of participants who've signed up, we have, I think, 4 males out of 40, and we have like 4 blacks out of 40. So the majority of those who have signed up are white females. So, and for those groups that have been put together and both facilitators are white, I don't think we should feel as if we're lacking, because, you know, the message nowadays is that it can be helpful for the whites to teach whites, right? The messages. So don't think that your group is handicapped if you don't have everything. It's only because we have only a limited number of resources. So we're all in this together, right? And we'll have chat spaces. I think Cam's going to talk about a reflection space. You know, maybe somebody can pop in and have a conversation. You know, I know the team that Jessica's in, they're going to have some younger group of friends. A couple of junior youth might even be in that group. Some are youth in that group. And they might, you know, be swapping out, you know, additional facilitators just to keep it animated, you know, to keep it lively, keep it, you know. So when we work together, we have a lot more tools than when we work separately. But just be aware that not every group is diverse, but the topic is on diversity. And we as Baha'i should feel comfortable speaking about that because we have the materials and the capacity to elevate the conversation as demonstrated in the case studies.
I have a couple questions. In regards to junior youth or even children, you know, any suggestions or resources that we could have to make it more lively, or maybe just I'm wondering if maybe a junior youth would be interested in a different resource besides coloring. I mean, I know as a 12-year-old, I love to color. I still love to color, but I'm wondering if other resources are available that you know of that are more for older children, or activities, icebreakers, that kind of thing, that we could keep that lively for those younger people. Thank you.
That's an excellent question, Jessica. And I know we've been kicking around suggestions on how that might look. For example, how could Yarnell Ball and CTC, those type of resources, if known, as we plan it, how could we conceivably schedule those type of resources to come in strategically at points in the study that keeps it lively, that keeps the interest of the youth. You mentioned like the coloring. How could, if you got younger kids, how could the early start program be available? I know Liz had even suggested that how could other groups, other teams that are studying possibly collaborate on certain subjects, how you could do an exchange to some degree on the topics of discussion. Did you want to comment more on that aspect of it, what you were sharing with me, Liz? Other teams?
I think it'll do better as those exact cases come up. It might be confusing to try to explain it, but the point being that we have flexible tools. And the concept of having coloring is for doodling. Sometimes when people are listening, particularly, sometimes I do it. Sometimes we found in person when we had sessions at Llewellyn, when we had manipulatives on the table, we had coloring pencils and color those older coloring books where you're coloring, trees and birds and things, that while you doodle, you can listen, right? Instead of getting up and feeling fidgety or having to grab your cell phone while, a longer passage is being studied in the group. But if you're doodling, you can kind of still listen. So those are kind of loosey tools that we've used. So all of those are, of course, still available. And as Cam mentioned, there's, there are individuals that can be sprinkled in and out of groups to help with that. But as you discover, as you call your participants, you say, hey, the group, what are you thinking? And this is really what it's about. And what are your interests? They might say, oh, I've been teaching my neighbor. You think I can ask my neighbor? And she has a 16-year-old. Do you think the two of them can join us? Well, then you've just introduced, a younger set, right? So come together and say, oh, now I have, 3 16-year-olds. What? Help me. What can we do? So we'll think together and work together to support each other, and what that could be.
Excellent. Thank you.
It's iterative.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I definitely wasn't downplaying the coloring pages, and thank you for explaining. I was just trying to think ahead, like, are there other tools that we could implement besides coloring that would be used for others who are different ages or different learning styles and sort of thing. So thank you so much for taking the time to explain.
And that ties in well to the another aspect of that, in as far as us collaborating, working together, because we think it would be helpful for us to identify a time when facilitators, can, somewhat like a plenary, obviously this is different, but to be able to reflect how's it going, and then for these types of questions to be raised as the process is unfolding, like, we noticed we need this, we noticed that it would be helpful to have this. I mean, this is a new concept to some degree, and we'll be learning through the process. And I don't want us to go completely through the process and at the end, say, well, it would have been nice if we could have did this or that. I'd like for us to have space during the process that can somewhat serve, I guess, as a plenary, where we can hear the learnings, we can hear the reflections, and hopefully we can make the adjustments, and accommodate that before, the program runs its full course.
I wanted to add
Go
some
ahead.
learnings from facilitating with the Indiana High School. One has to do with creating a sense of connection with the people in the group so that they feel comfortable sharing. And icebreakers at the beginning were very important. The groups that did not do the icebreakers, it took them like several sessions for the group to gel. And those that did the icebreakers seemed to be able to kind of start off from the beginning with some sense of connection. So I wanted to highly recommend, and it could be the simplest thing, like in my group, we asked people after we asked them to introduce themselves, we asked them, what's your favorite prayer or inspirational quote? Why is that your favorite or something? Or pick something that you really like. And just that simple thing was a way of opening up that person to the others and helping to create a sense of connection. Because this is sensitive material, you need to make it a sort of a safe space for people to share. And I think the whole session it becomes much more meaningful when people can share something more personal.
Thank you, Ruth. And I also wanted to just piggyback off of that we are doing a book one study right now online. And it was my proposal to create bringing a share item. And if you want, I could send the little blurb that I sent out to explain what it is. But on our second meeting, I invited everyone to participate in bringing a share item. And that is just something that is personally meaningful to them. It could be a picture of the item, a photograph of the item, or the actual item itself, or to just talk about an item that is personally meaningful, that describes their unique experience. And one of our participants brought his camera, and he explained how he uses that as his lens for the world and also for his job. And he explained the feedback that I had gotten from him was that he really appreciated that. And I think that for an online environment, it's really helpful, especially to create an environment that's loving and that is inviting, because our screens can be so robotic and just, there's no feeling in them. So if we bring an item that's tangible, we can show it, it creates this dimension of our lives. And so, and especially in this diverse setting, just another example, besides an icebreaker, that could be an option to create that inviting space. That I've already found that has worked well with my current participants in my study circle. So,
yeah.
Secondly, I wanted to, I think that's a great idea. I wanted to share the name of a person who's very artistic, who also helped do like crafts and things related to the program, is Peggy Lemon Burrell, and I can put her email address in the WhatsApp group for you all. I'm sure she'll be happy to send, to share some materials. I was looking over the timing of the different sessions, and some of them probably won't last 3 hours. Some of them, if you include like the first session, you think about starting with devotions, icebreaker, or introductions, doing the, what they call it, to the participants, and then doing the first session, that could be a pretty long session. And probably I was looking, because there's the 1A, which is the short excerpt from the junior youth material. I don't think that could fit in a 3-hour session personally, but it could maybe fit in one of the other sessions. So you can kind of play around with that. And also in our experience, the museum session, which is session 3, if you go through the whole museum exhibit, and some people's reactions to that is quite strong, or they want to talk about a lot. So that could take, I would leave more time for that, potential. I mean, just sort of depends on the group's response, but it seems like that's one of the longer sessions. That's number 3.
Right. Well, I think you've got a good vision on that, Ruth. As you mentioned, it is going to depend heavily, I imagine, on the group, and how it's presented. Obviously, when you go into that museum component too, that was one thing I wanted to mention, is that you know, what we share with you obviously is from the Llewellyn standpoint, and it has, you know, in different pages of focus, it's on the local communities. So to some degree, those local references will need to be adjusted that shows the reality of your community, you know, as compared to what we share with you, which will have that from the standpoint of Llewellyn.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Did you know that at Indiana High School, one of the committee members made a sort of a PowerPoint of it that could be put online?
Not just a PowerPoint, but a video.
Video. It worked really nicely. It was 17 minutes.
Yeah, I know our initial piece was a PowerPoint as well, and we did it as a PDF because of because of the amount of space that it takes as a PowerPoint. So that's great. I mean, that sounds organically like it's moving in the right direction, you know, and that's the purpose.
We could share that link, hopefully.
Right. Right.
I would love to have a copy of it, Ruth. This is Oliver.
Okay. I'll put it on the WhatsApp group, or I'll have Van do it.
This is great. This is exactly what we were hoping to achieve. The exchange of information and ideas.
Another idea about an icebreaker that worked in the group that I did with the Indiana school was to ask, after the person introduced themselves by name and relative location, was to share a story about a person that's different than themselves, either of skin color, of sex, or of age, but reflecting some kind of diversity, someone who had a profound impact on their life.
Okay. Now, are you able, I mean, other than verbally sharing it with us, Van, I mean, is that something that can be, I don't know, captured on WhatsApp or, you know, kind of put in a brief narrative?
I simply offered it as an alternative or an additional kind of an icebreaker. You know, sharing a prayer that's meaningful to you, or sharing some people, for a group that's very new to each other, you know, share their favorite ice cream. So there are different levels of sharing, and I guess it depends on the group's familiarity or understanding, or I don't know what else I could share, but that worked for our group very nicely.
Okay. Well, I just simply made note of it myself, and of course this is being recorded, so I guess to some degree we have it in both areas. But I think in touching on the icebreakers and those things of that nature are, it's been said, it's important, it's critical in creating a welcoming and warm and comfortable and receptive environment. And that can be accomplished even on Zoom. It can definitely be accomplished and can improve the exchange that if it's absent from that space. So hopefully, you know, everyone will look to accommodate that.
May I ask a quick question? I wanted to go back and clarify something that Jessica had said about her icebreaker. In that share item, you had said something that it be personally meaningful to them that describes, and then I lost your train of thought. It describes what?
Oh, sure. And I can copy what my little blurb was in my in what I had said, and then put it into the WhatsApp group. But basically, it's just a way to, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm Jessica, and I'm from Swartz Creek, and I do this and that," and by bringing an actual item it kind of creates a little bit more of a depth for who you are. So it makes you think, it's bringing that art form that we talked about into the session, into the space. And so instead of just saying just some blanket statement about who you are, you're thinking about an item that represents who you are, or your personal experience. So like a book that's meaningful to you and why, or an item, or a rock, or a piece of jewelry, or something like that. And so it just creates more depth to who you are, because we're not doing home visits right now, or we're not going into people's homes. So it kind of brings your home and your space into the session, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
I have a question, Cam.
Yes, sir.
When the participants get their packet, they will have the race ambition material. Will they have the material for the museum in here also? And in fact, I'm just trying to figure out what material is going to be in the participant packet besides the book. Just the book only?
Yes, just the book only. What Liz is holding up.
Okay.
And then, of course, that
Okay,
packet. Go ahead, Alan.
No, so if we're going to do the museum piece, then we got to share our screen, right?
Right.
Okay.
Their books are just like your books. All books are the same.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I'm looking at the time, and I know I was going to try not to hold you guys beyond this being an hour. So, Liz, are there any other pressing areas you need to mention?
Two things. One, as you know, your Zoom link that you will be using to conduct your session and your schedule, if you could please send that to us. You can send it either by WhatsApp or in an email to Cam. And also, I was wondering if June had any comments. She's a bright light on a lot of this, and we just wanted to carve out a space for her to make any comments if there's anything she'd like to add.
Yeah, I was just about to leave, so. But no, sounds wonderful.
I might add then on that, Liz, that, you know, this concept, there has been a planning committee, planning team that has assisted Lou Helen in this process. And June has been one of those who's been involved, as well as Oliver Thomas and Fred Kester and Liz and
Michael Neal.
Michael Neal. Yeah.
Michael Neal, yeah.
Yeah. So those are some of the resources that Lou Helen refers to as we try to establish this as hopefully an ongoing training that we can offer to the friends.
And really as a supplement to book 7, right? Book 7 teaches us how to facilitate study circles, but this enhancement helps us look deeply at if race circumstances occur, which they inevitably will here in the United States. It's just common that it's going to happen. How do we address it, again, without sweeping under the rug or calling people out or making people feel bad? You know, as Baha'is, we should be comfortable being able to walk that path and get everybody, or try to get everybody, to a good space where, you know, everybody leaves feeling good about where we can go and how we can be together, which these materials help bring that to light.
Yeah, excellent point. Thanks for mentioning that, Liz.
May I ask one more quick question of clarification? So I'm wondering about the flexibility of the timing. I know that you were saying that it's very flexible depending on the needs of the group. But what I'm wondering is, are the only two options 3 days for 4 hours or 4 days for 3 hours? Or is it like an hour every week or 2 hours? Or are you really wanting us to stick to that 3 to 4 hour period of time? And you were saying even like once a month, which I think is maybe too infrequent. You know, I think once a week at the minimum would be best. But I was just wondering, you know, how much leeway do we have as participants and co-facilitators with the timing and pacing? Thank you so much.
I would like to hear June's response to that, if that's okay, June.
She's gone.
Oh, is she gone? Ah, well then.
Yeah.
June has a 1 o'clock.
Okay. I've raised, I too have raised that question, Jessica. And I know what I understand about it is that, you know, the quality of the session is what's foremost in regards to not minimizing it, not giving the impression that, you know, this is a very complicated, delicate, can be volatile type of subject, and what rhythm in the presentation facilitates ongoing quality, involvement, interest. So it's a hard question to answer because some groups might be able to have greater flexibility depending on, you know, how often they've gone through it. Maybe if they've gone through one and this is two, or they've gone through, you know, we've got, you'd have to answer this question is that we may have some people that are registering that have already done this the second time, you know, or third time they've done it. So my simple response would be looking at it closely from the standpoint not to run the risk of losing the validity and the quality of the content of the program is what should guide you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
Yours as well. Sounds like my buddy Milo's ready for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question, Cam.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have a copy, electronic copy of the museum piece?
You should have that, Oliver. I think we shared that from the facilitator piece, but I can certainly send it out again.
Okay, so, all right. So, yeah, I might have. I got to look in the file to see. Okay. And then my other question is this. What are we expecting the participants to do with this training? What will be their next step? You know what I'm saying? And because they're going to ask us that question, or either whether they ask us or not, we still should be able to tell them. You know, they go through this material, and so just so we can all be on the same page, have unity of some type of unity of vision, what should we tell them their next step should be?
Yeah, in the goal statement, we printed the goal statement on your checklist, if you got one.
I think
at the top.
I think that's a really good statement.
There it is right there.
I like that.
Yeah, it's really whoever takes this class, if their child is in a children's class or their junior youth is on a soccer field and they say, maybe you should take up basketball, they'll know how to respond, right?
Okay.
It doesn't mean I'm taking my kid out and going to the JY near my house. It means maybe we should have dinner together. Maybe we should have ice cream and have a conversation. Maybe we should approach both parents. You know, maybe we should have a barbecue, bring your food and let's pray together. You know what I mean? It's not, let's ignore race because we see everybody as one family. No. Let's honor each other and respect what can happen when races mix and there's misunderstanding or frustration and things pop out of their mouths or, you know.
Yeah. My response to that, Oliver, too, along the same lines, is that hopefully we would see that family, members of that family, moving from being merely participants in a workshop, a study session like this, to the level of collaborators in regards to being engaged and even facilitating, things of this nature. I don't know if Damon is still online, but I think Damon emulates that very well, in the sense that how his engagement, has risen. Are you still there, Damon? Did you want to comment?
I'm not sure what you're asking me to comment on, Karen.
Well, I mean, for example, we've sat together and we've gone through this program, and I've been able to sit down with the On the Top podcast, and we've I've interviewed you in regards to race issues, and you shared these stories in your past and how you've been an agent of change in your community and looking for organizations to be a part of, not just from the Baha'i perspective, right?
Correct. And then you start reaching out. In fact, I'm already thinking about, after this kind of maiden voyage, who am I going to recruit? A relatively young Black guy that I've known for years, who's not a Baha'i, but I think would be real interested. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Like that now.
Exactly. Okay. Well, I'm not going to hold you guys any longer. I mean, I think, does this space work well for most of you as far as 11 a.m. on a Sunday? I mean, I don't have one on the calendar yet, but I think as we move down the road, that we want to try to find what space we can come together and share input and find out how things are going. So is Sunday a good time? Sunday morning a good time?
Yes. Yes.
I see thumbs up from Damon. Okay.
I have a study circle ending at 11, so I'll just hop right on right after. I might be a couple minutes behind, but it should work fairly well for me. Thank you.
All right. All right.
It does kind of depend on whether we do this study on Sunday sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, based on that flexibility of when you schedule it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good. Well, we'll give some more thought to it. Maybe it'll be a space that can't be just simply one day. Maybe we'll have to have flexibility to have that window of opportunity to sit down and talk on how things are going. And I think we'll get a better handle on that, Liz, as the schedules come in. As you guys solidify your schedules, maybe we can speak more coherently about how that will look. So maybe it's a little premature then at this point. All righty, friends. Did we want to have a closing prayer? Would someone like to offer a closing prayer for us?
I wanted to let Patrick know that we sent Ted's phone number to your messenger box. It bounced back when we tried to text it to you to your phone number. The messenger box in Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, that's fine. What phone number do you have? You probably have 734-663-7495. Yeah, that you got that from Irma Hayden. Send it to
What's the true one?
734-678-8684.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
I would like to share a closing prayer.
Thank you, Dad.
Glory be unto thee, O Lord, thou who hast brought into being all created things through the power of thy behest. O Lord, assist those who have renounced all else but thee, and grant them a mighty victory. Send down upon them, O Lord, the concourse of the angels in heaven and earth, and all that is between them, to aid thy servants, to succor and strengthen them, to enable them to achieve success, to sustain them, to invest them with glory, to confer upon them honor and exaltation, to enrich them and to make them triumphant with a wondrous triumph. Thou art their Lord, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, the Lord of all the worlds. Strengthen this faith, O Lord, through the power of these servants, and cause them to prevail over all the peoples of the world. For they of a truth are thy servants, who have detached themselves from aught else but thee. And thou verily art the protector of true believers. Grant thou, O Lord, that their hearts may, through allegiance to this, thine inviolable faith, grow stronger than anything else in the heavens and on earth, and in whatsoever is between them. And strengthen, O Lord, their hands with the tokens of thy wondrous power, that they may manifest thy power before the gaze of all mankind. The Bob.
There we go. Thank you, dear friends. I appreciate each and every one of you. I look forward to our continued working relationship, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you guys so much for your time in helping us today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
if I could remind folks, today is National Grandparents' Day for those of us who are grandparents. Happy Grandparents' Day.
Wonderful.
Right back at it.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Damon.